Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day, and I hope it continues to be a great day. This is a little short devotional that I've done before, and it's just a great topic, and it's probably my favorite series of verses from the book of Acts in chapter 5. And I didn't plan this to be on the same day that Brother Adam gave us such an amazing message. So, Uh, it won't measure up to that, but I hope it's useful to you. Jesus warned the apostles and Peter that they were going to suffer for his name, and they were going to be thrown into prisons and had have hands laid on them or beaten in his name. And from in verse 18, that's exactly what happens. They were preaching the gospel in the name of Jesus Christ in the synagogues, and the high priest, who I don't believe were in charge, I believe they were submitting to Roman government at that time. But they were thrown into prison for preaching the gospel, and then they got out of the prison. And wouldn't you hate to be that captain who told the high priest exactly what had happened? That they had already made their way back to the synagogues and were preaching Jesus Christ in the synagogues. And they say that in verse 28. Did we not strictly command you not to teach in this name? And look, you have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine and intend to bring this man's blood upon us. Excuse me. Which is quite fitting that they were complaining about being covered in his blood. And then Peter has I believe, a famous one, and said we ought to obey God rather than men. And again, I don't think they were going against government authority. I do think the Romans were in charge at that time. So, and it goes on, and they were when they heard all that Peter had said, they were furious and plotted to kill him. Again, that sounds probably familiar to anyone who's been studying and about the life of Christ. And then one Pharisee named Gamaliel, I'm sorry for pronunciations, a teacher of the law held in respect by all the people, commanded them to put the apostles outside for a while. And he said, Men of Israel, take heed to yourselves what you intend to do regarding these men. And then he gives two examples about two others who gathered up a following around them, and they came to nothing after they were slain, and all their followers dispersed. And he says, Now I say to you, keep away from these men and let them alone. For if this plan or this work is of men, it will come to nothing. But if it is of God, you cannot overthrow it, lest you even be found to fight against God. And they agreed with him. And when they had called for the apostles and beaten them, which isn't surprising, they commanded that they should not speak in the name of Jesus, and they let them go. And if you're a servant of God, you know that's not going to happen. If you tell, especially Peter, after he's trying, I'm assuming he felt pretty upset about denying Christ those 3 times. So I don't think he's going to listen to anyone else to not preach the name of Christ and add more to his church. But you can just see this scene. They were, after being thrown in prison, after being judged, after being beaten, after all of that, and then all of a sudden you can see just bruises on them. I'm sure you could probably see blood on them, bloody noses or black eyes or what have you. You can just see them, and then you read this. So they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name, or the name of Jesus Christ. And that you can see that scene. You can may have had bloody noses or black eyes or what have you, and they were smiling ear to ear because they were counted worthy to suffer shame for the name of Jesus Christ. And then daily in the temple and in every house they did not cease teaching and preaching Jesus as the Christ. So they did it anyway. They continued on from the same things that were had them thrown in prison and beaten and whatever happened to them. And it's just very encouraging to see that. And it's I'm probably smiling a lot more now because it's probably my favorite series of verses because it's very encouraging to read when you're down in the dumps or suffering for any good reason, that it's worth it. And I hope God blesses you. I'm sorry this was a little bit longer. Thank you all if you stayed and listened to this. I hope it was useful for someone out there, and thank you all for the kind words and the comments and liking and what have you. And thank you very much. And I hope God blesses you, and I hope you continue to have a great day. And maybe this great weather will keep up.